They're stiff-necked, and that is used repeatedly of the nation. They just refuse to follow me. So Israel turns to the way of the world when they make that golden calf. And here God has taken them through 10 plagues and reduced every Egyptian god to rubble. He's mocked them openly. They're jokes. They are not gods. He's made that clear 10 times. What did the Israelites do? They build a golden calf, like an Egyptian god. And it's like, well, what part of this are you not getting? Why are you worshiping the works of your own hands? That whole subject, it's quite interesting to see that they start making graven images when God said don't make graven images. They put other gods, but God says don't put it. It's like, you wonder if he would have said, go ahead and mess around with other gods. If they would have said, oh, no, we want you. You know, it's kind of like, at what point, children can be a bit like that. You tell them, now listen, don't clean your room. I don't want you to clean your room. And they get in there and start cleaning their room. But God forbid our wives should be like that, or our husbands. It's called adultery. So, we left off last week with this idea of lifestyle. 13 through 18 in Exodus 33.
32.
Now therefore I pray thee, if I have found favor in thy sight, let me know thy ways, that I may know thee, so that I might find favor in thy sight. Consider too that this nation is thy people. And he said, my presence shall go with you, and I will give you rest.
So God said he wouldn't go with him. Moses intercedes, and now God says, okay, I'll go with you.
Then he said to him, if thy presence does not go with us, do not lead us up from here. For how then can it be known that I have found favor in thy sight, I and thy people? Is it not by thy going with us, so that we, I and thy people, may be distinguished from all other people who are upon the face of the earth? And the Lord said to Moses, I will also do this thing of which you have spoken, for you have found favor in my sight, and I have known you by name. Then Moses said, I pray thee, show me thy glory.
Every time Russ said favor, the word is grace. This whole thing is about grace for Moses. And his bottom line, even after God says, I'll go with you, it's basically, well, that's really good, because if you don't, how will your grace be known? How will you demonstrate? How will the world know your grace? What we ended with last week was a question, that what demonstrates and manifests God's grace? Because according to Paul, twice in Ephesians, in the 2nd chapter and the 3rd chapter, he talks about God eventually, in the ages to come, is going to show forth the exceeding riches of his grace. It's like every one of us in this room is an act of grace, is a work of grace. And he's going to be showing us all off and saying, look at this, look at my grace. Not in a way that says, oh, I'm great, but look at the beauty and the wonder of grace. Who's the beauty and wonder of grace? God's people. That's the beauty and the wonder of God's grace, filled with his glory. But it's not even just for the future, for the ages to come. When you get to Ephesians 3, Paul says, so the church now, in this age, right now, is supposed to be showing forth the manifold wisdom of God to the powers in the heavenly places. The church is God's grace made manifest kind of thing. So the question that Moses is asking thousands of years ago is, how will your grace be known if you don't go with us? These people are not people of God. I mean, how will this whole thing work out? We've got a problem, because the goal is for your grace to be known. Now, this is before God passes by Moses and says his name is gracious. Moses is walking in a place, he said several times, if I have grace, if I know your grace, and he's interceded for a nation that God first says, I want to wipe them out. Moses, oh, please don't. Okay, I won't. You know, it's kind of, there's a whole measure of grace. I'm not going with you. Oh, please go with us. Okay, I will. So it's kind of grace, 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 grace. And Moses is impressed. You are surely a God of grace. And this world doesn't know grace. I will never disrespect my wife again. I will never shout at her. I'll never do this. Oh, God, I'll never do this or that. It's like, well, it's a good thing that my grace is eternal and doesn't know any measures. Because all those things you will do again. And it's unless we are the people that are able to say to somebody, you need to understand the grace of God. It's not an encouragement to sin. That's not what this is about. Paul says, so do we continue to sin? He says, God forbid. But grace is available. Every time, grace is available. How will the world, the nations of this world, know that if there isn't a people of God out there saying it with this grace of God upon them? This is what's consuming Moses. So the question, what demonstrates, manifests God's grace? People who worship the works of their own hands, they're all about their own glory, or those who Christ is being formed in? That's what Paul talks about. Christ is being formed in us. The form is being formed in us. His form being formed in us as we're not conformed to this world. And that's a good thing to think about. Every time I conform to this world, I come against the form that God is trying to form in me of his likeness. That's what I'm doing. Because you can only fit so much in this thing. So every time we think and act like the world, we are not thinking and acting the way. We're turning from the way. There's a golden calf someplace, needs to be kicked off a pedestal. Something's wrong. It certainly ain't right. So he's trying to form us, but we're conforming. We are forming ourselves. This is what's at the heart of all of this that we're talking about. Moses intercedes for the people to the point of laying down his own life, becoming a people who are not just moved by the hand, but by the face of God as well. In fact, more by the face of God than the hand of God. The word that we had for this year was breakthrough, go into the new thing. And when we were talking about that, we spent a whole week looking at Elisha, who demonstrated grace. He didn't talk about it. He didn't quote Ephesians 2, by grace are you saved through faith. He didn't quote it. He demonstrated it with the guy whose axe head came off. And that's what we talked about, was grace. And Moses is saying, how will it be known? It is grace. How will grace be known if you're not with us? Because people of grace are different from the other nations. They resist, it's all about me, the Gehazi mentality. They intercede to the point of laying down their own desires and their own lives. Yes? I mean, these are things, this is our DNA, our Christ in us. This is Christ's DNA working in us. They're not moved just by the hand, but by the face. And they encourage others to seek his face, to know both his hand and his face. Let's read the Lord's reply to Moses, verses 19 through 23.
And he said, I myself will make all my goodness pass before you, and will proclaim the name of the Lord before you. And I will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and I will show compassion on whom I will show compassion. But he said, you cannot see my face, for no man can see me and live. Then the Lord said, behold, there is a place by me, and you shall stand there on the rock. And it will come about, while my glory is passing by, that I will put you in the cleft of the rock and cover you with my hand until I have passed by. Then I will take away my hand, and you shall see my back, but my face you shall not see.
So God tells Moses, he wants to see his glory. And he says, okay. And he's going to reveal all his goodness and his name, which are two immutable attributes, will never change. It's all my goodness, and the name of the Lord is going to pass by. So, who wants to tell me what's in the bag?
A jar. Looks like a jar.
So you think it's a jar. But it's in a Wegmans bag. I expect you to say, where did it come from? They go, oh, Wegmans. No, it didn't come from Wegmans. Yeah, but that's what the bag says. Yeah, but it didn't come from Wegmans. It just looks like it did. Here we go. So,
It's a can.
Can.
it's a can. A can of what?
Beans.
A can of beans. He guesses again.
It's an
Good guess.
upside down can.
It's an upside down can. That's good. We can see that. And now it's a right side up can. What is in here? What is in here?
Ooh.
Tomatoes, stewed.
So based on what it says on the outside of the can, we'd probably guess there's stewed tomatoes in there. Anything else?
My mother liked stewed tomatoes.
You think that's all that's in here? Stewed
It's
tomatoes?
probably got
Probably
salt.
must be
Water,
green.
salt.
Oh.
Or
It's
some
probably got
acid or
stuff.
something.
Anybody want to tell me what's in there?
Are we gonna open the can and it's like those little party snakes are gonna pop out?
No, we can just do it this way. Russ, what else is in there?
Um,
And to be honest with you, if that label is correct, what's in this can is already listed there. We don't even have to open it because it's already told us what's in there. But if you think of where we started from not having a clue, guessing, we got it from, no, it didn't come from Wegmans actually. It's not that kind of a God at all. How much guessing are we going to do? How much are we going to attribute to him that's not even in the can? we're always thinking that he's this or that. And he's saying, if you got close enough to read the label, you'd know that that's not me. But you have to get up and get close enough to be able to actually read what's on the label. And then once you know what's, and this is the whole thing, he's going to pass by Moses. And he's going to reveal what is him and what is not him, quite frankly.
Good example.
Moses is saying, I want to know everything that's on. I want to know. I want to know more. I've seen it from afar, but I want to get closer and know more. And I know that that's only going to happen by seeking him and him revealing. I didn't figure out what's in here. The label told me what's in there. It revealed what's in there to me. All I had to do was get close enough to read it. That's what Moses is talking about. As we go into Exodus 34, the glory, the goodness of God is going to pass by. Something new is happening as we go into Exodus 34. We've probably realized by now that the revelation of God's glory is progressive, from coming out of the Wegmans bag to taking off the label to getting close enough to read it. A revelation is progressive, but it's also in the present. You notice every time the glory of the Lord is appearing, it's in the present based on something that's presently happening. This should encourage us, because what it means is that you are not going to hear God say, well, I know what you want, but maybe in a year from now I'll actually answer that prayer or do this or do that. That the glory of the Lord is a present thing. He is there in greater measure when we need him, not when we want him, when we need him. So you can rest. You don't have to worry about your house. It's not yours. And as soon as you think it is, you're in trouble. Because now you'll protect it, you'll worry about it, you'll do all kinds of stuff. Why? Because it's not your house.
Mm-hmm.
So whose responsibility is it to take care of it? It's his. And then he says to us, I need some help. I want you to help me take care of this house. I want you to help me bless people in it. I want it to be a safe place. I want it to be a place of joy. I want it to be a place people can come and be healed. I want it to be a place where people can come and sense my presence. I want it to be a place where your family gathers and you can share the love I created you to share. Because this is what we do in my house.